a higher love. Oh, bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Oh, bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Oh, bring me a higher love. HeyBroadway.com. So I have a very special guest here. This is Monsieur Jérémy Charvet, and he played Motel in France.
Hi.
Just very recently. You finished in January, right?
Absolutely.
And you did it. Where was the last place you did it?
It was in Reims.
Yeah.
À l'Opéra de Reims.
À l'Opéra de Reims. In Cannes, right? Didn't you do Cannes?
And before that, we were in Cannes.
In Cannes. So, and we also have my amazing dresser, Jennifer Griggs, over here, and she's going to play a game. Whoever has the hat sings the line from Miracle of Miracles. So we're going to try to get through the song in English and French and see how we do, okay?
Let's go.
All right, here we go. So it's on you, Jennifer.
Okay, we're going to start home.
Wonder of wonders, miracle of...
Des miracles, comme autrefois avec.
By the hand, turn him around.
Prends ma main, mes merveilles, me conduis en terre promise.
Wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles, I was afraid that God...
Maïs, Dieu prend ma main et aux merveilles des merveilles.
Okay, vive la France! Vive la France! HeyBroadway.com. So, doing a show 8 times a week, it can be trying on your body and your soul, and sometimes I'm feeling a little low spiritually, and I just need a kick. So, like, I'll take out my grandfather's yarmulke, I'll put it on, and I'll just, like, pray for some kind of inspiration for the night. Oh my God!
Oh my gosh! Where
John, is that John Cariani?
Adam.
John, what are you doing here?
Wow.
Oh my God! Model in the last revival of Fiddler and star of Something Rotten on Broadway.
Yeah.
John, what's happened?
I thought I was at my theater.
No.
Did I go through like one of those worms? What do you call it?
You went through a wormhole.
Wormhole. I think.
No, you're at the Broadway
Hi.
theater. Hey.
Nice to see you.
What's going on? Hi. Oh my God, John Cariani, you guys.
Hi. How did this happen?
I don't know. This is so weird.
weird.
But can we talk about Model and Fiddler and you
Sure.
and everything? This is so great. Wow. What a pep in my step. So John, you were Model.
Am I at your theater?
You're at my theater. You're at the Broadway theater.
Wow.
Okay, this is the 2016
I honestly
revival.
thought that I was at
No, you're
St. James.
You're not at the St. James.
I was just talking to Heidi and Kate, and all of a sudden I'm here.
So weird. But here you are, and I'm so
Wow.
grateful. You were Model in the 2004 revival of Fiddler on the Roof.
Mhm.
I saw you
Yep.
in that. You were so...
You were a kid, right?
I was a kid,
How
I
old are
guess. But why aren't we all kids? We're kids. We're always
I'm
kids.
not a kid right now. Oh, wait, how old are you?
It must have been like the very
It was
end
12
of high
years
school.
ago.
Yeah.
So-
It was... No, I was like beginning of college.
Yeah.
But you were...
Early college. That's cool.
But you know what? 12 years ago, you were 12 years younger, too.
That's true. And I was Model.
Yeah, but oh my God, I remember your Model so vividly. It was really, 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 really good.
Well, I was just talking to Randy Graff, who played Golda in our production of Fiddler, and she said that she saw it, and she said that you were really, really,
Really?
good. I haven't gotten to see it yet because we have the same schedule. I haven't gotten to see it, but I will.
We're figuring out. I was at your opening of
you were?
Something Rotten.
Did I know that?
No.
Oh, I
I'm
didn't know
telling
that.
you right now.
Oh, okay.
Now you know. And that was really, really good too. I'm just a fan of yours. So hence my willing you into the environment, into the atmosphere, and you popping up today.
I'm glad I could help.
Do you want to put on my grandfather's
Oh, I don't know. Should I?
Yeah, I think you should.
Really?
Just to see how it looks.
I'm honored because one of the best parts of being, wow, that's pretty cool.
It goes with your shirt.
I got to be an honorary member of the tribe.
Yeah. Well, now, I mean...
That was very exciting.
So what is it about this role? I mean, the show obviously hits home, and people have very, very, very close feelings to it, and it's almost become a biblical thing in terms of the music theater canon and also, frankly, Jewish history. But there's something about Model I'm finding that people really, really latch onto and relate to.
Underdog.
Underdog, for sure. Yeah.
He fights the power.
Yeah.
Without fighting the power in a traditional way.
And goes after something that's seemingly crazy, but in a really, in the most respectful way possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely respectful.
Yeah. I think...
And just what a great, like, I want to be like him. Like, when he's grown up, I still think, what would Muddle do? Like, he would not be a jerk in this situation. He'd be fair. He'd be kind.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but I think he has a good compass, moral compass.
Do you feel like he was full of faith and, in a sense, like, in terms of his relationship with Judaism, with God? I mean, he obviously breaks tradition in a big way. In this game, he's the first one. He and Seidel are the first, you know, to do it.
And that takes incredible strength.
Yeah.
I always had to be reminded of the strength that took.
Yeah.
Like, you have to find the strength inside the weakness that exists. And that was an interesting thing to figure out. Did you ever have that?
Oh, totally.
Like, not just being a weakling.
Right.
Like,
right.
You got to be strong somehow and finding where your strength comes out and what the strength does to you. Because every time you're strong, you get a little. That's like when you work out, you get a little stronger.
Mm-hmm.
I do not work out. But when I run though, and when you run farther, you get stronger.
Yeah.
And when you practice standing up to someone,
right,
or practice emotional strength, I think it does make you stronger for the next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a beautiful way to put it, though. What you just said about his faith.
I think part of the struggle, at least something that I play with, is a connection to faith while wanting to break it. I do think that he's full of faith. I mean, Miracle of Miracles is filled with biblical references, right? Yeah. And he has knowledge and reverence for these biblical references, and of course, a close relationship with God, or else the whole song he wouldn't be.
God, you know, it's funny because you're all saying all this, and I feel like I need to remember.
Right, so it was a few years ago.
No, you need to remember where you come from. And I think right now we're in a place where everybody wants self and future is the key, and I feel like we have to remember. I think right now we're in a place where remembering where we come from is an embarrassment to this country right now. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, one of our presidential candidates is saying, "Make America Great Again." Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I think it's important to remember where you come from. It's very important to remember. I just kind of realized that, and that's what he's very aware of where he comes from.
Absolutely. I adore this character, and it's so clear that you do too. And
also, you don't get to play a lot of joyful, optimistic people in contemporary dramatic literature. Have you noticed that?
Sure.
Like, that's what I love about Something Rotten. Nigel is a good guy.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and I think playing good people is actually hard and as complicated as playing bad people. And I think playing pretty optimistic people is just as difficult as playing pessimistic or slightly depressed people. You know, I feel
Absolutely.
I feel like joy doesn't make you dumb. I think Muddle's really smart. Because, first of all, also, I wanted to learn about tailoring when I was...
Oh, so did I, yeah.
And I went to ask what it would take to be a tailor, and he's like, "Oh, you're too old." And I was like 33 at the time, and they were like, "You're too old." And I was like, "Why am I too old?" And he's like, "Oh, if you want to be a really good tailor, you got to start when you're, like, young. Like, in your 20s at the latest, because it takes a long time to learn."
Sure.
And I was like, wow. And so I was like, okay, so this dude is, like, super skilled and smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I look around every night at what everybody's wearing on stage, and I have a sense of pride that I made all that stuff,
Yeah.
I'm sure you felt that too.
Absolutely.
It's like, and we have some pretty cool costumes.
Actually, I didn't think of that, but that's pretty I like that you thought that. That's a great idea.
Not to embarrass you, but you got a pretty cool award recognition for playing the role.
Yep.
You got the Tony nomination.
Yep.
Which is awesome and so well deserved. Mm-hmm. What was that experience like in terms of finding out? Was it... Talk to us about that a little bit.
At the time, I had done movies and TV mostly, and commercials and some regional theater and a little bit of off-Broadway. I hadn't done anything like Broadway, and so I didn't know what all that stuff was. Mm-hmm. So I remember...
Like, what is the...
I didn't know what the Outer Critics Circle Award thing was. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
I didn't know. You don't know that stuff. And now everybody knows everything about that stuff, it seems. And I was just not prepared, is the best way to put it, and very happy and surprised. The worst part was I was like having to go into not auditioning for other musicals because I wasn't good enough to sing the parts. Like, that was the worst part. I got a lot of auditions there, and I'd be like, I can't go on that because I actually can't sing that very well. So
like,
that was...
But you're Tony nominated.
I know, and you're like, yeah, but trust me. That one...
Right. Even Muddle's strength couldn't help me in this situation.
No.
But now you're back in it.
Boy, I have to tell you, auditioning for musicals is the hardest thing, too. Because you don't know when it's all going to... Like, you have to keep the balance of...
Sure.
Like, do you find that when you sing Miracle of Miracles, if you're too let all of this come out too much, you can't sing it?
Oh, yeah. No,
but then you have to have enough technical...
Yeah.
Right?
I had conversations with Bart about keeping it, making sure it's connected to the wonderment of the ideas versus getting too much into the emotion of it, or else you can just get carried away with that. Mm-hmm. And
that's a great...
The thought can get lost.
That's a great way to put it. That's always what you should do.
That's why
all of the actors, you should always stay on the thoughts.
Yeah, on my door I have this thing, Cultivate Radical Amazement. I'm going to show you. Because we had a rabbi come in, and I want to have this painted on the door in a bigger, prettier way, but right now it's just a little placeholder.
Wow.
We had a rabbi come in and talk to us about radical amazement or radical awe, and that was an idea that stuck with me with Model. He was talking about how this idea of radical awe is sort of a tenet of faith. In order to...
oh my gosh.
How faith is based on a sense of radical awe of what's in front of you, the universe. That any belief in God per se is has to be based in a sense of wonderment, right? And I thought that is so Model, right? Like he's got so much of that radical amazement. So I sort of want to remind myself
that's a really good.
And if ever I walk in and it's 20 degrees
no, but
and rainy.
We should all try. I feel like that we need all of us right now at this time. We need to live in radical amazement. Were you like a history major or a philosophy major? What's your deal? Because you're wicked smart.
Oh, thanks. No,
super smart.
I went to Northwestern and it was like a liberal arts degree. I mean, I concentrated in theater, but it was very academically based.
Yeah.
Like
it wasn't conservatory.
Yeah. So I like books.
Do you write?
A little. I'm just starting to a little bit. I wrote a piece about. I did this research journey through Eastern Europe before this, and I wrote a piece about it. It was my first thing that I wrote, which I'll send to you.
Really?
And it was sort of tailored off of in the Sholem Aleichem stories. He writes them as monologues from the vantage point of Tevye. So I wrote sort of an extended monologue to Sholem Aleichem about the trip I went to finding his home. I went to his house and
you did?
I went to the street. Yeah, went to the street where Tevye was, where he sold dairy.
For real?
Yeah.
So where is it? Where is it now?
In Ukraine.
It would be.
It's just an hour outside of Kiev by car. By horse, it would have been a lot longer.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
So what's your favorite? What is it like? What is it like when you hear that?
Do you know what's funny? Like? That's my favorite part.
Me too. My favorite.
Really? Oh,
every time I didn't feel like doing the show, which is rare, but occasionally you're just tired or whatever it is, and then you hear that, and all over my spine, goosebumps.
I love it. I don't want to give away too much because you haven't seen it yet.
I know.
But that's the moment in our show where we all enter together, and there's just something beautifully communal about it, and it's the moment where I feel like I can drop into the world and the character and the relationships, and it's just and the orchestra sounds awesome.
Yep. Huge orchestra, I heard.
Yeah. 22 pieces.
Wow.
I love it. And I also just love the power of the full company doing a number like that and sort of laying out the groundwork of what's going to happen for the next 3 hours.
What's your favorite song currently?
Well, Tradition, I think. It would be right now, but it changes.
I love Do You Love Me.
Oh, favorite song?
I can already tell the way they do it. I can already tell I'm gonna love it. And I remember the way Fred and Randy did it. It was kind of revelatory because I will just never forget in rehearsal. Randy, the first time, one of the early times they did it, Randy got mad at Tevye. Randy Graff playing Golda got mad at Fred Tevye. Not mad, but he was just he asked her, do you love me? And she's like, do I what? I don't have time for this. Right. It was so cool because it's what would happen. She's like, I don't have time. We have a lot of stuff going on right now, and I really don't have time to talk about this right now. And that's when they really found, at least that's my opinion of what they found. And it felt very contemporary. It felt like when someone wants to have a conversation about something when you're in the middle of piles of stuff to do. And I just think that's how life is. You're so busy.
Oh,
and
sure.
Can we just talk about this thing really fast? And you're like, no, we don't have time. And then they organically found this beautiful thing where they would, it doesn't change a thing, when they pointed at each other from way across the stage.
That's kind of what we have.
Beautiful and so powerful and so really, truly married people.
Yeah.
Marriage with all of the love and the hate that's involved in being married.
Absolutely.
So, that's what I love that because I only knew that as a goofy song.
Right.
And I just love that.
Yeah. Sheldon has a story about how he would when he was hearing it out of town, I think in Detroit, and he had to leave one night. He got so emotional because he realized this was about his parents. That he wished that he had heard his parents come to this realization through the song.
Yeah.
But I guess I love you, and we can recognize that and speak about it out loud
Later.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
When I learned about Judaism, that's what I loved about it was I love the idea of waiting for the Messiah to come. That's hope always. That's a beautiful idea to me.
It's true.
Hope in the face of unspeakable.
Yeah. And
things.
I look at the characters of Fiddler, and I look at my ancestors up on that thing, and I think about how
So cool is your ancestors.
Yeah, isn't that cool? I mean, what these people, what model sacrifice for the sake of future generations, while holding on to a sense of hope.
Yeah. What is the audience's response when? What do you say that you're going to
Warsaw?
To Warsaw.
Yeah. Oh, you hear some people go.
I know. That was one of my favorite parts of the play too. Is like I wasn't expecting that. Who says it? My title's like we're going to Warsaw.
Yeah.
And we'll see you there. And
Right.
you can hear people or feel people going, oh my god,
Yeah.
oh my god. Like what's to come is so terrifying.
I kind of think that they have a really good shot, and I think of getting to America before the fecal matter hits the fan.
Yep.
Because I think, like we talked about, he is so industrious, so smart, and really talented, and if he wins Seidel's hand in
he can do anything.
Yeah, exactly. He can do anything, and he got like the lyric in Miracle of Miracles, God has made a man today. I really think that, and I love that he has that journey. By the end of the play, he's truly a man. You know. Anyway, you have to get to your theater.
Yeah.
It's 7:15, and you're gonna.
Oh my gosh,
you gotta go to your half hour. Okay. ThanksBroadway.com. John Cariani, you're the best. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye. Wow, wasn't that amazing talking with John Cariani? I mean, that was so inspirational. I don't know what could possibly top that visit from him. I mean, it's just like, wow, mind blowing. I feel like, is that somebody there? Is that? Oh my God. Wait a minute. It's Austin Pendleton, the original model in Fiddler on the Roof. Austin Pendleton. Hey, Austin. Broadway.com.
Yeah, right,
we have
Broadway.
here Austin Pendleton.
Yeah.
Now you were the very first model ever in the world.
In the world, yeah.
Okay. Now I
auditioned for Perchik.
Yes, I know this. I have questions for you.
Yeah, right.
So, well, first of all, the last time I saw you was an opening night of this production.
Yeah.
Because you've been busy. You were directing a play in Cleveland. You teach, of course, at HB Studios downtown, and you just went on vacation. So now I finally got you here.
That's right.
I want to know, like, I mean, okay, many things to ask you, but first of all, having had the experience that you've have had with this show, originating model, and I have questions for you about that. What was I never really got to talk with you about your experience being here and experiencing the show at this theater. You know, where you go, do memories flood back? Do you sort of have instinctual, sense memory things happen to you viscerally when you hear certain lines, or like?
Yes.
Yeah.
This production, this one, the one you're in, blew me away.
I was nervous that I'm glad to hear that, and I'm relieved to hear it. I was hoping that you would respond well to it.
Yeah. Well, you blew me away.
Thank you.
You really did.
Thank you.
But before that, even, well, the way it started. First of all, the way it started, it was like, oh wait, this is a whole different landscape. So. Right, instantly, it wasn't a stroll down memory lane.
Right.
It was like, what is that?
Oh, interesting. So you
that was very exciting to me, and very, this is slightly the wrong word, but I mean this word in a very good way, very disturbing. It disturbed my expectations about what the show will do to me. Then when they started tradition and those people come up that thing, I lost control of my bodily functions. I thought that was the most single thrilling thing I'd ever seen. Wow. And so right away I wasn't in a place anymore of, oh yeah, I know, this comes back to me. Right. Then there were so many wonderful things after that, including you and Alexander Silber and all that. That and certainly Danny's performance. Also Danny's performance isn't like any Tevye I've ever seen. But this was like announced itself instantly as an entirely new experience. So every once in a while a moment would float by and, oh yeah, I remember, but instantly it would be eradicated by what this production is. It didn't really surprise me once I thought about it, because what he did with The King and I and South Pacific, I mean, each time I felt I'd never seen those shows before. Right. So it didn't really say, I wasn't going, where did this come from? But I wasn't ready for it. And your scene, it was your big scene. and song. In a great way, I didn't have any relationship to it. It was like watching a whole new thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the evening was thrilling in a way I would never have predicted.
I love that. So let's go back. The show premiered in 1964.
That's right. I auditioned for it in almost a year to the day before it opened. I auditioned. I started auditioning for it in like very early September or the end of August. And in the days of Jerry Robbins, you audition forever.
Right. And you were auditioning first for Perchik.
He called me in for Perchik, and I read the script, which was essentially the same script and ended up. But so I read the script, and I got obsessed with the idea that I was going to play Perchik.
Yeah.
I got so excited by that. So I was going in 6 times, but this time I thought, I'm going to get this Perchik. I'm going to get it. And then at the 6th one, I did it again, and once again I thought I was brilliant. You know? And then he said, while you're here, will you read Muddle? And I thought, oh, I hate that part. It's so stupid part. I mean, it just...
Was it...
It wasn't as interesting as it became.
Yeah.
It's not what you're playing today. It wasn't. It was sort of a colorless, the earnest, young, poor Taylor. And Perchik was so vivid.
Yeah.
And I said, well, okay, I'll read for it. And I hadn't looked at it at all, and I sort of read it like that. And he said, thank you. And I looked at it, and I thought, I'm going to get Perchik. And the next day, my agent goes and said, you got the show. I said, great. And then she got to talking about it. I said, wait, what are you talking about? She said, you got Muddle the Tailor. I said, oh, God. And she said, Austin, take it. I said, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'll take it. 2 weeks after I got the part of Muddle, I'm running across Columbus Circle at 5 o'clock to get to a singing lesson, which clearly I was stepping up.
Right.
and Jerry's hurrying the other way. I mean Jerry Robbins. He says, listen, this is very exciting. Since we cast you, we're thinking of a whole new approach to Muddle. I said, what? He says, he's going to be like really tenacious. He's going to be like hopeless, but his real tenacity is all he has going for me, which he later told me was his impression of me.
Just tenacity and nothing else.
Yeah. And Jerry just decimated me. And I got so upset. He was totally right. And I didn't know it at the time, though. I got so angry, and I was crying in the dressing room. It's all stupid. Richard Altman came in, and before the matinee, he'd told me this half an hour before Jerry. He said, I had to leave the theater when you were getting married last night at Seidel. I couldn't bear the thought that
Jerry
she would be
said
married.
This.
Married to you. And what has happened to your performance? It's unwatchable. And I was crying. And so Richard Altman walks in, and there's Bert Convey and Joe Podesecki trying to jam a tranquilizer into my arm or whatever they were, just trying to calm me down. I said, Austin, stop it.
Yeah.
And I said, you tell that bastard, I said to Altman, he's not, meaning Jerry, meaning Jerome Robbins, the man who has made my career. So you tell that bastard he's not to speak to me for a week. To my horror, Altman told him that. So he didn't speak to me for a week. Except one very painful session where we put in Miracle of Miracles. We had a rehearsal, half hour.
Right.
Where that's the only time he spoke to me or I spoke to him, and it was very tense and unhappy.
But didn't he say something sort of supportive in that rehearsal with you?
No, he didn't. He didn't. He said, let's see, okay, let's see, have you learned the song? Yeah.
Or just...
Let's see your instincts. I performed it. He said, well, I guess I'm going to have to stage it myself if those are your instincts. And he staged it like that, staging that then remained in Fiddler for 40 years. He made it up, said, okay, and walked away.
Which included some claps and skipping.
But right? They were brilliant. They weren't just claps and skipping. They were brilliant. They were poetry.
But they were motivated by you, or did he...
No, he just thought it up. Because what I did when I showed him my instincts was apparently beneath discussion. And so this was a Tuesday. The song was going in on a Thursday, and Thursday was a week I told him to stop speaking to me on the Wednesday before, so we were heading toward the week. That Tuesday night, Hal Prince, who was producing it, come off stage. My performance is still in tatters, and Hal calls me. He's waiting in the wings. As you know, there's about 3 minutes between when Muddle and Seidel exit and when the curtain call happens. So I'm in the wings, and Hal comes up and says, I'm going to buy you a drink after the show. I thought, okay, that's it. I'm
You're
out.
done.
I'm done. I'm done. So I did a strange thing. I went back to the hotel, and the bar we were going to meet was in the hotel. I went to my room, and I changed into a suit and tie. I thought, I'm going out in style. I think it's the one time I've worn a suit and tie in my adult life. And so I showed up at the bar, and Hal was there, and the whole cast was there, and everybody was getting drunk. And he ushered me to a table as far away from the cast as possible and said, what are you drinking? I said, Jack Daniels on the rocks. He brought me a double Jack Daniels on the rocks. I
And
thought,
you're like, oh boy.
okay,
Here we go.
here we go. So he says, what is going on with you? And I said, I don't know what you... He said, stop it. What is going on with you? Nobody knows what's going... Nobody can figure out what's going on. And I said, well, I don't know. I guess I've sort of lost my focus. Some actor talk, you know. He said, it's Jerry, isn't it? Jerry's freaked you out. I said, yeah. I have something to say to you, he said. I said, yeah. Don't listen to him. If he gets... Yeah, but I said, but he's a genius, and, you know... Forget that. It seems that when you listen to him, you can no longer function. That's not his fault.
Right.
It's probably, but just the fact remains, the only solution. You have 2 shows tomorrow. I want to see on stage that you are not paying any attention to him. He said, no, he had started to direct by then. He directed She Loves Me the previous year, for example. He said, if any producer ever did this to me as a director, I would kill them. But I'm doing this as producer to Jerry because whatever is going on, this has to stop. So the next day I was sort of ascended to a sort of adequacy, I think. I'll go no further than that. I will make no greater claim. But I was at least not openly embarrassing to watch.
I have heard people who have witnessed your performance live speak wondrously of it.
It's all because of all this. I was good in Detroit, but this was like going through the furnace. I
know people who saw it in New York who said you were fantastic.
Well, that's all the result of what I'm telling you right now. Jerry did this, and what he did was he wanted me to learn what Muddle learns, like no more around.
Yeah.
You have to, everything is against you.
Yeah.
You have to, and he said to me when he was saying all those terrible things, he said, all you've got going for you is that you're a tenacious little fighter. You stop doing that and there's nothing there. What he basically was saying, don't ever get satisfied with yourself on stage, certainly in this show, but my advice would be ever again.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah, then you realize Tevye makes it that hard for Muddle. And I'd had that in Detroit kind of instinctively, but that week kind of solidified it. And 40 years later, I'm walking down the street in Chicago, and I was telling this same story. I stopped virtually in the middle of this, crossing the street. Said, wait, Hal and Jerry conferred on this. This was all planned.
Yeah.
They said, what are we going to do? Okay, Hal, you go tell to not listen to me.
Right. Yeah.
This is 40 years later, Adam. That's disturbing. This show is about literal emotional, psychic survival. And Jerry was fierce about that. And it's not some sweet recollection of an earlier era where there was community. And it's about being challenged on the most fundamental level. And that's what happened to me as an actor in Washington. And that it happened to be frequently on stage, literally, physically, with Zero Mostel. That's what that whole year was. I don't think any year or any period of time in any show, even very difficult roles at different times, was as transformative to me as that year.
Yeah.
I think I would be a different person if that year had never happened.
Sure. I feel that way about this.
Yeah, I think
this production for me.
Not only that, but if I may, I can see it. I saw it in your work.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's you don't know what it is, but you know it when you see it. And somehow what I needed to have happen was what the show is about. So I get very moved when I think about it.
The role moves me, and the show, of course. The role moves so many people. It's
there's no role quite like it.
Yeah.
It's directly about survival against all the odds.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think as Americans we relate. I mean, we're descendants of immigrants who had that experience, the muddle experience.
Right.
We all come from some tenacious person.
Right.
Got on a boat.
Right.
Somehow made it work in this country. You know.
Exactly.
And I think there's something that really rings true.
And Jerry identified that about the piece.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, why he took it on.
I get a lot of questions from people on Twitter and stuff who are, of course, the show is so produced everywhere, you know, and I get questions from people all over the country who are doing Fiddler and ask, you know, advice. If I'm playing Muddle, what is your advice for me? And I think we touched upon some of it in terms of the tenacity and in terms of not getting cocky about it and always fighting for something. Is there anything else that you would offer?
No, that's it.
That's the main thing. Yeah.
Anything else, I would say, all comes from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was talking with John Cariani, he was saying in the audition.
I loved him.
Yeah, he was great.
He was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In his audition, he was asked if there was one word that Muddle represents. The director asked him. I think it was David Laveau.
Yeah.
And he said, "What would it be?" And John's answer was joy, which I found interesting. My word was something else. I'm curious if you were to put into a word, you would say tenacity, perhaps.
Well, the facing of what the character perceives as some kind of annihilation.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then it turned out that I got very not annihilation in the literal sense, but I got very close to thinking, and I think what was happening unconsciously, flirting with annihilation, in other words, being fired, no longer being Muddle, and that the loss of that woman, Seidel, to him would be that.
Right.
That he would not know who he was for the rest of his life unless he could find a way to marry her and then live up to that.
Yeah.
The whole year I played it, I was scared, even when I got past the fear of being fired. And when I was leaving it at the end of the year, the contract was a year, I had a series of violent panic attacks. Sometimes it happened in the middle of the show. I would lie down off stage and the crew would say, "Austin, we have to push the scenery over this track. You've got to could you lie down somewhere else?" And it was like, when I stop being Muddle, am I going to be able to face, I mean, do I have to be Muddle in order to face whatever comes along in life? I think that was what the panic was. I got over it.
There's something about overcoming fear 8 times a week, overcoming this huge obstacle.
And what had happened was I tried to short circuit that early in the Washington run. I don't need to be scared all the time. And the answer came down, yes, you do. Yeah, you do.
Or at least aware. I mean, I think of it as an awareness of how obscene the reality of achieving what he wants to achieve is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How crazy in that time, in that community, what that would have been.
And with good reason.
Yeah.
If you don't have any money, if your daughter gets married to some guy who just isn't up to providing you with what you need to have, not make you rich or anything, but just provide so that you can have children and support them and, you know, all of that. A guy who just caves.
Right.
And in the early scene, you see he has a capacity to cave.
Yeah.
In the very early scenes. And she's going, Muddle. And so Tevye is literally appalled when he comes on it. You know, it's like a nightmare.
Right.
But if you don't get that, your life will be extinguished. You'll live, but you will live all your life knowing that you didn't manage what you could be.
And I think that the awareness of that is so important.
Yeah.
And that he's not just some idiot who's unaware of these things.
No,
he knows what this means.
Yeah. And he knows that he has to persuade this man who is not unreasonable. Tevye's objection to Muddle is not unreasonable.
Absolutely. Austin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
This is such a special... This is going to end this 8-part series for Broadway.com. It's the grand finale. So
really?
Yeah, thank you. This is really special.
I hope it doesn't get you into a whole lot of trouble.
No, it's been really meaningful. I loved chatting with you during the rehearsal process, and it's been inspiring and continues to inspire me. So thank you.
Thank you.
And see you soon, I hope. Well, Broadway.com, this is it. The final episode, which I call Many Muttles. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the whole series, and I thank you so much for all your wonderful feedback and comments. I hope that this series brought you some joy and perhaps some insight into the world of Fiddler and Muddle and Broadway. and my life. It's been an honor and a privilege to share it with you, and I thank you for watching, and thanks to Anthony Taylor at Broadway.com and Lisa Goldberg and the entire cast and crew of Fiddler. We will end, as we always do, with Twitter questions from you guys. And know that I read all of your questions, and I respond to as many as I can, so thank you for those. So, here we go. Okay, you guys, here we go. Final Twitter question. For this question, because it's such a momentous occasion, the grand build-up, I have here the incredible, the amazing, the one and only, Seidel and Fiddler on the Roof, Al Silbs.
Hey.
Alexander Silberg.
Hi, Al.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Good to see you.
So, all right, this is a big one. It's from Elizabeth Powell at Evie Powell 4 says, at Adam J. Kantor, if you and at Al Silbs could do any show together besides #Fiddler, what would it be? Oh my
Do you have
goodness.
any dreamy parts?
I want to do everything with you.
Yeah,
after
wouldn't that be
this.
good?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to be like the
Chekhov.
right. I mean, I want to be in the Seagull. With
The
you.
Seagull. We want to do the Seagull.
But like, I also like. I think we could handle everything up into like the Jewiest cowboys in Oklahoma.
Right.
That would be just for our own.
Well,
that would be, like,
or Jews in the South. Parade would be amazing.
I mean, Parade would be like a dream. That's
Yeah.
like one of my dream roles, and you're beyond
Yeah.
perfect casting for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
that's that was a really
So,
good idea.
Parade.
I mean-
should we? Do we give him a sample?
Hmm.
Maybe we can get somebody to play it.
Didn't Mary do it in concert with Ben a couple years ago? So she must have a chart.
Ooh. I will never understand what I did to deserve you, or how to be the man that I'm supposed to be. I will never understand if I lived 1,000 lifetimes, why you did the things you did for me. Just look at you. How can I not be in love with you? What kind of fool would have taken you for granted for so long? All the wasted time, all the million hours pushing you away, building up my wall. All the days gone by, to glare, to pout, to push you out, and I never knew anything at all. I never knew anything at all.
I will never understand how all the world misjudged you, when I have always known how lucky I must be. I will never understand how I kept from going crazy, just waiting there till you came home to me. Now look at me, now that you're finally here with me, now that I know I was right to wait, and everyone else was so wrong for so long. All the wasted time,
Wasted
hours, years on top of years, still too proud to cry. The days gone by, to feel that I don't satisfy, and I never knew anything at all. I never knew anything
too strong to fall. All the days gone by to never show I loved you so, and I never knew anything at all. I never knew anything at all. LoveYouBroadway.com. Thank you. Thanks, Al, Maddie, Ben.
Hava, how are you? Yeah, I've got a book. I've got a. No, it's not gonna work. It's gotta be a little more tough. Like, if I was sort of a guy, an English guy, you know, what if I was a Hava? You know, I got this book here. It's a good book. I like to read. I'm a good reader. You know, a thinking man. It's a little intense. Hava, hello. How are you? How are you? I'm from New Zealand. A nice guy, you know. Oh, I like this. Yeah, Hava. Oh, I'm so confident now. I could do a few dance moves. I could do a couple of little silly, like, hover. Woo! Ah, no, that's not gonna... Constable, hi, how are you? What are you doing here?
What are you doing?
I was just working on a speech I was writing for
Why are you
class.
talking like that?
Talking like what?
You're talking that weird, funny voice.
No, I wasn't. I was doing a little, like, New Zealand thing, sort of, you know, build my confidence up, you know?
We have to go. Come on. Come on.
We have to go. Okay.
Do you have a book again? You have a book in your bag again?
Who's got a book?
Give me the book.